Hit me.
Now I know I've done this in another video, but I figure I'm going to do this again on video to show you guys how I go about removing side rails because of this double-sided adhesive. And this is a difficult and a little bit of effort and everything has to be put into this, especially if one, you don't want to damage your side rails, and two, you don't want to damage your cabinet. I know of a buddy of mine that removed his side rails and he was a little rugged with it and took a big old chunk of the veneer out on his cabinet. And I also know someone else, and that guy was me on my getaway. I think if you go through my restoration portion, I have pictures, but at that time I wasn't doing video. But I had pictures about, I think it was like down around this area right here. And I had to Bondo that all over and fix it. So these side rails, I think the left one does have a pretty good size of a dent in it. This one looks pretty good. Of course, I don't think you can buy them separately, but I'm still going to take them off and try to keep them intact. And what we're going to have to do is use the heat gun and this designated scraper right here. I believe the only time I've ever used this in my toolbox is for removing these side rails. Now, so what we're doing is we're heating up the scraper and the side rail simultaneously. This is a giant heat sink. So eventually it's going to get hot. And I want to stress that because once you get to the end and you're having to use a little bit of muscle to pry up, there's a chance that this side rail can fly off and land on your skin and burn you. I don't think I've got the scar anymore, but trust me, once again, learn from my mistakes. So when you get to the last portion and you're pulling up, be very careful on not to let this land on you. All right, I might be still a little wore out from the other side rail that I just did, but we're going to go at it. I'm obviously going to speed the time up on this because I want to say each side rail, depending on how difficult it is a good probably 10-15 minutes. Here we go. This should be the last section right here. Woo. There you go. Yeah. Side rails are removed and intact. Whew, that is a workout. The fudge. Alright, so cabinet is all done now. I even sanded over here on the bottom side of the cabinet a little bit. It didn't really need that much, so, but inside the cabinet is going to be cleaned up and then just repainted. But we're all good all around. So now I'm going to get the air compressor, get it all dusted off, and then wheel it back into the garage. Alright, so where we are now is that the cabinet has been sanded all over, top to bottom. I still have the back is there because it's in great shape. I'm not going to sand that. Same goes down here. All I'm really going to have to do is just do paint touch-ups right back here. And I'll replace these standoffs right here. Well, I'm not called the standoffs, but that's basically the paddings right there. I'm going to replace those. Those are pretty scuffed up. But other than that, what I'm going to do now is get this all like completely like wiped down with my naphtha, get it all cleaned up, and then I'm going to start doing the filler or resin on the areas that need it. Going to get it taped off, and we'll do the resin on that while I'm waiting for my new decals and everything to come in. Those should be in here in a few days. So right now it's all just a bunch of cabinet prep and everything, just getting this all ready to go. I don't know, I believe I may be doing, yeah, I think I am going to paint the inside of the cabinet. A lot of people put a lot of effort in making sure the inside of their cabinet looks like, you know, they're going to a showroom floor. Me, not so much. I don't know, we'll see how it goes, but I don't need it to be as clean as my playfield, for crying out loud, but I do like it to be clean and sleek. Alright, here is what we're doing. I've got this section on the corner and this section down here that is missing some of the veneer. I'm going to be using my Bondo fiberglass resin. I'm just going to be pouring just a little bit down in there to get it all nice, and then I'll put a couple of drops of the hardening activator into it and just kind of mix it around while it's in there. And the same goes for right here. And then after about an hour, maybe that, not even that, I should be able to at least remove the painter's tape out of the way, and by tomorrow I definitely will be able to sand it all nice and flat with everything else like that. I think this is the only side that actually required me to do any kind of repair work. And I'm trying to remember, oh yeah, this is going to be filled with Bondo. But I don't think I had any major issues with the, oh yeah, that's right, this part. So this will be another section that I need to tape off around right here, and then I'll pour that in there, and yeah, okay. So before I forget, I'm going to do that next too. Alright, here we go. Hopefully you can see the amount of resin that I've got in here. I try to clean off as much of the leftover stuff as I can, because that just makes it to where it's just less stuff for me to sand. Look at it, you can see it activating right there. It's already off gassing and stuff. Woo! Might even be able to see the fumes, maybe not. Alright, so I've got that section. And then over here, got that section filled up. And then this corner piece right here filled up. We'll let that sit for an hour at least. Come back and check on it. Those are it. I guess I could go ahead and Bondo this up right here while I'm at it. Something I just noticed is that there's like two small holes right here on the front of the cabinet. And I don't know why or whatever would cause that. I mean, I don't know why I didn't notice that. I think at first I thought they were like nail holes for, I don't know why they would be there. There's no reason for them to be there. I'm guessing at some point something was mounted there. I don't know what the hell it would be. But I'm going to have to just fill those in. I mean, no big deal. I'm just saying that's just something I didn't notice. Because if I don't fill these, then there's definitely going to be a giant visible 2 holes right there whenever the decals go on. So got to get those filled, and I think that should be the only holes that need to be filled, and then I can start getting this thing cleaned up. This right here works fine for what I'm going to do right here. It's basically little putty stuff. I just take a little bit with my finger and just kind of like push it into that hole as best as I can. The angle I'm at's horrible right here. Once I know that I've got that hole filled pretty good, and you know when it's pretty good and dry whenever it turns colors like this right here. So this is starting out that would have had the little pinkish tone to it, but over time it'll get all yellowed out, and I'll just let it sit there. It don't take long for this stuff to dry out pretty good, especially whenever it's warm. So if anything else, I'll also hit it with the heat gun for a little bit just to help get it all nice and dried out, and then I'll do like a 500 grit because this stuff can sand off pretty easily. So I'll just do a 500 grit and get it all smoothed out like I've got up here where that hole was at. But yeah, that's all it takes to patch up a hole like that. Using this, just so you see what it is. Gloss, black, paint, and primer. I've got my first coat on my back box. Now, you'll notice that I don't have it all the way covering all that because I don't need to. I just need it around the perimeter. That's all that's going to be seen. And it's nice and smooth, so I don't have to worry about any, like, you know, wood grain showing through the decals because I've sanded it with a fine grit. And it's the same ordeal on this side as well. Now, like I said, this is the first coat. I'm going to let this sit overnight, and then tomorrow I'll do another coat. And then that should be good, at least, and that one will be ready for the decals. And that's where we're at on that. This still needs to be cleaned up real well. I'm not worried about this one today. We'll see what my schedule's like tomorrow, and then I'll start working on this again. But that's that. Alright, another day. Time to get a little further on this if we can. As you can see, I've got these holes all nice and sanded and plugged up. What I need to do on the inside of this cabinet is get it prepped for paint. I'm going to be using a sander. That whatever they use to get that stuck on there, the serial number and everything, is ridiculous. It's like really on there. I'm like, screw it, I'm just going to sand the damn thing off. And like right here, this is like some sort of adhesive or something that's been dropped down on here. It may have been there from the factory, I don't know, but that's not coming off with ease either. So I'm gonna have to like sand this flat and just kind of roughing everything up to get it prepped for paint. Now, I'm not gonna worry too much about keeping the bottom white because obviously they didn't care much either whenever they had it at the factory. So we're gonna do the entire interior black. Nothing wrong with that. Get it in better light here, you can see how this corner turned out. Looks pretty darn good. What I'm probably going to end up doing actually is I got new glides in the mail. These turned out pretty good. I mean a little bit of paint, they'll be fine. I'm going to end up masking these off and then repainting the back. Yeah. That's what we're going to end up doing on that. And, yep, here we go. Alright, I've got the cabinet all sanded. That was chewed down a lot. I'm going to end up having art blades. So I'm not worried too much about, you know, these cracks and stuff like that are in this cabinet. I mean, they're like micro cracks, but they're definitely not going to be visible because, like I said, I'm going to have art blades. But I've got the inside of the cabinet sanded and all roughed up for it to take paint. But obviously before that, I need to get it shop vacked out. And then I need to buy some more naphtha. I'm out. But I use naphtha to wipe everything down to make sure I've got all kinds of debris and dirt and grease and everything off of it. And then I can focus on getting it all painted. But before I paint, it needs to be clean. Here we go. All right, here we have the back box. And the back box is pretty much ready to go for decals. It's currently drying out right now. There you have it. When it comes to the back box art, like I said, the back box in general looked really good. There wasn't a lot of damage. It wasn't too scattered about. So all I really did was just mask off all of the text and the caution back here and just kind of like sporadically sprayed. So it's just kind of like mixed in a lot better than just a nice solid coat. So it just kind of fades in and looks a lot better to where you can't really tell that it wasn't all brand new. I think it looks actually pretty damn good for what I did.